What is up, everyone? Welcome to the 25th anniversary live stream.
Ooh,
See a bunch of people already spamming chat. No, there was no music in the
no.
intro. That's something we should probably add because it is a little bit eerily quiet. But my name is Gabe, social media and influencer manager here at IOI.
And I'm Catherine, also known as Sparks. I do content creation here at IO.
And today we have a fun little stream planned.
Yeah, we actually have quite a few interesting people joining the stream throughout. Yeah, get your questions ready because we'll be reading them as well throughout the stream.
Someone's saying there's a play button on the stream somewhere. Is there a play button on the stream somewhere? We have streamers behind us. We have party hats, okay? And I see that the chat actually stopped scrolling, which I'm just gonna quickly shuffle over here. I don't know why.
Yeah, we're testing a new setup because we have some people actually calling into the stream, so everything
Yes.
is a little bit jumbled, but we're rolling with it. I think we also have the double screen over here.
Yeah, we got it. We got everything. We came a little bit prepared. I can show the
A
chat
little
here.
bit.
A little bit prepared. But no, today, I mean, this is a 25th anniversary celebration. Hitman has been around for a quarter of a century, which is I think is like
That's
a
insane.
crazy thing to think about. So we're gonna have some special guests from the studio sides. We have a few developers coming on. Some of them have been on the project for I think 14
Yeah,
years.
for a while.
Yeah, a while. Some of them also are working on other projects, but have been on Hitman traditionally for a very long time. And we also have two special guests at the very end of the stream, as well as some guests before that, that are coming in after that. So we'll actually be joined by Mood Publishing, who are making the Hitman board game. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. And we also have David Bateson,
Mm-hmm.
Agent 47 himself.
Yes, whose voice you probably will recognize.
And another voice that you recognize is Jane Perry, who plays Diana, who is also going to be joining us remotely. So that should be a little bit fun. We're gonna have some fun conversations. I think we've talked about this. We're like, let's put together a stream. What do? We have fun. It's
Yes,
like the
that's
whole
the most
point.
important part. And I, for one, am really excited to hear both David and Jane talk about their journey with these characters. Like, imagine being a character for so many years. I think that's impressive. So I'm really excited.
We've had a little bit of like spoilers for the stories some of the devs are gonna tell, but like I'm excited just to hear like when
Yes.
you've been on the project for so long, there's so many funny things that have popped up. Like maybe they don't mean that much in like the game in the end, but like funny stories of how everything has actually come together.
Yeah.
But we actually have something we can show off first,
Yeah.
which is our 25th anniversary trailer. So we're gonna play that one real quick for you all, and we'll see you in a little bit. Bam, a little bit of a trailer.
Yeah.
And now someone spotted. They're like, "Oh, there's a shadow box in the back." There is up
Somewhere over
there.
here.
There is up there. But we do have one that we have here with us. So we're gonna quickly unbox and show off for you a
Yeah.
little bit.
I wanted to do like a really nice ASMR thing, but I'm too far away from the camera. And I don't think it's very ASMR-ish.
Just ripping the box.
I usually love that. But we do have
I can bring it closer to the. Or you want to take it out? We take it out of the box.
Let's take it out.
Take it
first.
out.
You do it.
I
I
got it.
can't jam my finger in there.
I see a lot of people asking about co-op. We don't have just to set expectations. We're not going to be talking about co-op too much in this stream. The team is still very hard at work on it. As I try to.
I know, right? It's hard.
I'm gonna get it out.
Maybe
of it.
fold those out.
No.
No.
I'm stubborn.
I'm gonna let him. Let's all let him just do that.
Bam. We
Oh,
open it
okay,
from
he got
both
it.
sides. Should I bring this closer to the
Yes,
camera?
bring that one close.
Wait, but there's. Ooh, we do it close. Wait. Here we go. It's dark.
You need to come over here. Wow.
Ooh.
Neat.
This is the shadow box.
Yes.
This is one part that is included in the 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
As
3D.
well as what is this one called? A lenticular card that
This
shows
is-
off.
It brings me back to my childhood when you used to do these things and I don't know if it shows up on camera very well. I think it does. But you can see the different, or not, I guess it's the same, but the different editions of 47 throughout the years, and you can kind of see how he's evolved, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, so it's a cool little piece. And also,
Of course.
the game itself, it also does come with the Undying, the Drop, the Splitter, and the Banker. So you do get 4 celebrity elusive targets with this as well. But we'll put these up here now. I wonder if this.
Maybe we won't.
Can I get it to balance? Just bam. Now don't move because it'll.
Okay, I will
follow.
hold this.
Everybody hold still. But yeah, we're actually ready for our first guest, I think.
Yeah, I think we're already ready. I
So
think.
we will disappear for a little bit. Come back in like 2 minutes. Get your questions ready because the first person that we have online is a little bit of background in design and technical design, which will be a fun little conversation. So stick around and we'll see you in like 2 minutes maybe. So I click this. Wait, be right back.
There. I had to make sure that I pressed the right button because all of a sudden I'm in charge of the buttons. But I would like to welcome in Tolka first. Could you introduce yourself to the viewers?
Absolutely. Should I be looking at you? Should I be looking?
You know what? You can look at the camera because
I'll look at
those are the
I'll look
people
at the
we're
lovely
talking about.
camera.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to you guys out there as well. So I'm Toga. I've been working on Hitman for a long, long time. I started here in 2014, right? So that makes it 11 years. 9 of which was spent making Hitman as a level designer at first, and then as a lead level designer on the first year of live content, and then as a level designer on 007. And then as a technical designer on 007, and then as a lead technical designer on 007, and then as a technical designer on PSVR 2 Hitman, and now level designer in Hitman again. So I've come full circle. I've gone around and come back.
Yeah, that's nice though. You've dabbled in a few different things,
Oh
it sounds
yes.
like. Yes. So when you look back, because you've been here for a while, like you said, how was the studio back then compared to where we are now?
It's been a ride. It's been through a lot of different phases, I think. Like when I started, we were still owned by Square Enix, and Hitman was the only game we were making. Like now, as you know, we're making a fantasy, we're making 007, and then we're also making Hitman. So that was very different back then. Like it was a building full of people who only worked on this one game, and it was also a bit of a weird culture because Absolution was a very mixed experience. It did not do so well financially, and the studio was kind of trying to reinvent Hitman. Like we want to go back to the roots, but we also want to modernize it. We want to get out of this kind of ditch that it felt a little bit like we were in. And then obviously Hitman 2016 came out, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And then from there, yeah, it really turned into something much more energetic and optimistic. I think we gained a lot of confidence since then.
Yeah.
And now, of course, now we're independent, which means that we also have this sense of, ownership,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like the bosses are in the building, right? No one somewhere else owns anything. Like
Yeah.
we are our own masters, and it's really cool. And making multiple projects, you can feel like there's a whole lot of, really good energy nowadays, which is great. So
Yeah.
it's been a journey.
Um, so you already answered this a little bit because the vision for Hitman kind of has been through some changes along the way. But is there anything that has stuck out to you throughout the years where it ended up like changing its path, or maybe it started out being one thing
Mm.
and you changed it to then it became Hitman as we know it?
Well, I mean, when we were doing especially Hitman 2016, there was a phase early in proper development, in the production phase, where we were still struggling with how to onboard players. Like, how do we get players to experience all of this stuff we put into the levels? And we had improved, of course, and a lot of systems made them more understandable, but we were still struggling to find out, yeah, but how do we surface all the content to players? And that's when, at some point, some clever people thought, what about making these opportunities, what later became mission stories? Like, so it's an open-ended game, but we do these little tidbits of guided experience through them just to get you to the cool parts the first times you play. And that, of course, became a whole thing, right? And it was interesting because when I started, that was not a thing. And then just
Oh,
discovering how that very much informs how you play each level the first time, right?
yeah.
That was one of the things that we didn't know we needed until we had it.
Oh, interesting. It's very organic in a way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So were there ever any suggestions or ideas that were so wild that it didn't make it in the game? And is there anything
Yeah.
that you can then share with us?
I mean, a lot of people here are very creative. I think most of us thrive on building cool stuff, and sometimes we go a little overboard. I remember when we were making the Dartmoor level in the original pitch, I wanted to also have the target's comatose brother hooked up to a machine keeping him alive, and it would be this really dark mission story where you could go up and you could disconnect it,
Oh my
so he
God.
would die, and the target would be upset, and that would give you a moment alone with her. But that was too dark. Like we're not doing that.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have to go some pretty dark places then to come up with these things.
Yes.
Wow. So is there anything in the games that, to your knowledge, players haven't yet discovered? Any Easter eggs? Any? Because we've been around for 25 years now. Is there anything still hidden for players
Mm.
to find?
I mean, occasionally we've had Easter eggs where we had to hint a little bit,
Oh,
but I think at this point, players have explored and data mined and found their way to pretty much everything I'm aware of, at least. So, I mean, we keep adding them, of course, but right now, I think, to my knowledge, they've actually found everything.
yeah, but they are like people are persistent. They
They
they are
really are.
digging. They find those things really like
Yeah, surprisingly quickly.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I put
It's
in
quite
things that I
impressive.
thought this will take them months to
Yeah.
figure out, and then half an hour after it's out, someone has posted how to find the thing, and it's like, come on, guys.
How are you that fast?
Yeah, Jesus.
Let's see. What's it been like watching a new generation of players kind of connect with the game? Because it feels like the franchise just keeps rolling and we keep reaching new people and new platforms and stuff like that. So what's it been like watching a new generation of players connect with the game?
Really exciting. So of course, Hitman 2016 has a lot of legacy from Blood Money, like that's where we came from. But when it came out, we were trying, just as we did with Absolution, but perhaps with in a slightly more elegant way to make the game more accessible. Um, and it was very interesting to see that from the release of Hitman 2016 to now, 4 years into the live tale of Hitman 3, it has gone from being a very niche game that's for the very hardcore players and fans to being a game that keeps winning awards and keeps being referenced by various influencers. And like having Mark Brown on Game Maker's Toolkit repeatedly talk about Hitman is also really fascinating because it means it's made its way out of this obscurity
Yeah.
for only the Hitman
Yeah,
fans
yeah.
to becoming a franchise that a lot more people dive into. And it's really nice to see all these newcomers join the forums and get help from the more experienced people or playing things for the first time and sharing the experiences. It's very rewarding to see that it's able to reach more players now as well.
Yeah, it's like also just seeing it going a little bit like mainstream in memes and like it's referenced more.
Yes,
Like people know it now. I
exactly.
think that's pretty cool. Let's see. We have some questions from the chat, so I'm just gonna read those. Dr. Cesaro, I'm really doing my best with the names. What is your favorite level and why is it Miami?
Oh my. Miami is not actually my favorite level. It's up there. I think my favorite level is probably still Sapienza, which is a very lame answer because it's like everyone's old favorite level. Um, but I think for me, it's mostly the historical context that that was the first level where we really nailed that feeling of having this big sprawling location with a fortress in the middle, of course, with a target and all that stuff, but around it, like this whole community, this whole little
Yeah.
town that we could then reuse in bonus content
Yeah.
and use to just litter little opportunities around. And it was, I think it did that really well. And because it was the first to really nail that, it'll always be special to me.
Yeah, I get that. I think Sapienza is pretty iconic, if I may say so. It also just has a mood that is instantly recognizable
Oh, yes.
when you get in there.
I
So I
always
think
want to
that's really
go
cool.
on
Yeah,
vacation when I
right?
play that level.
Right? You almost feel like you are on vacation, just
Yeah.
a little bit. Cool. Then we have Hey Jay, who's asking, when levels get designed, do they start with the level designed and then choose the location, or the location first and then it gets designed?
So if we're talking about geographical location, we usually have an idea about where it's set, or at least the kind of environment where it is. And then from that, and from story context, and from desires to create specific kinds of spaces or gameplay, we narrow down the level from very abstract into more concrete level design with layout and such things. But then it sometimes changes as well. Like we might be doing a level that's set in Scotland, and we find out, oh, this actually fits better in United Kingdom. Oh, sorry, in Britain, right? And then we might move things around a little bit like that. So
Yeah.
it's a bit of a mix, honestly. It's we usually have an idea in the
Cool.
beginning, but then we can change the area later.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I think we have time for one last question, which comes from Burn the Witch 2016. How was the swap between Hitman Absolution, Hitman Pro, then 2016? Was it a gradual shift or just very suddenly a shift in design?
Mm. I mean, when I started, we were in early production of 2016. So at that time, what was known as Pro, or like the early idea of what Hitman 2016 should be, was already dropped, and Absolution was history at the time. But what we were very aware of, I think, as a studio, was that we wanted to move away from the very linear structure in Absolution. We wanted to do what Blood Money did well, but then make it accessible and bring it up with modern mechanics, you know?
Yeah.
So Absolution, for all its faults, actually did introduce a lot more legible, polished mechanics. And we wanted to kind of do Blood Money, but that,
Yeah.
right? And I think that was a gradual discovery, really.
Cool. I think that is actually all we have time for. It feels like time is just flying
Yeah,
by. But thank you so much for joining us. I will go on a be right back screen for just a minute and then we will bring in our next guest. So if you just hang on for a minute and then we will be back with the next guest.
yeah.
And welcome back. Now we have our next guest, Michael, in the studio, and I would love if you could introduce yourself to our viewers over on the camera, so you can go ahead.
Sure. I am Michael Ford. I have been at IO since 2012, I think. I was briefly on Hitman Absolution, and then I was main writer on the Hitman World of Assassination trilogy, the whole shebang. And since then, I've been on the Bond project.
Yeah. So you've been also a little bit around the house.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Also
Cool.
some incubation stuff, and yeah.
I'm really interested to hear because writing for Hitman, I feel like there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of challenges. So what's it been like tapping into writing a character such as Agent 47?
Yes. I'm trying to recall, the what went through my head at the time. It's been, I mean, that was in 2014, right?
Yeah.
So it's a completely different life. I think to write a character, you need to understand them. Then that doesn't necessarily mean that you approve of them or their actions, but you do need to understand them. And I felt at least a need to reinvent him to understand him better. I'm kind of a brains over brawn type of guy, suspense over action. So the things I was looking towards was not action. It was more spy thrillers and heist movies, that sort of thing. So to me, Agent 47 he's kind of a gentleman thief who just happens to deal in assassination.
That makes sense. I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the story version of 47, he has never fired a gun because he doesn't need to. And he has never ever killed anyone who wasn't a target. And the story presupposes that, right? So he's a gentleman thief. He's a bit of a cat burglar or a magician or a reverse Sherlock Holmes, maybe. And of course, players can go spectacularly off script
Yes.
anytime they want, and they can kill every NPC in a level, and they can strip them down to their underwear and pile them up in a pit, make a human pyramid and blow it up. Right?
Yeah.
But I think most players will understand that when the story progresses, that's not what happened.
Yeah.
That's not what really happened. That's you messing around.
Yeah.
But it's not how he did it.
Yeah.
Obviously, right? So that there's that. That's kind of getting the genre right and sort of the archetype. And then there's also a moral aspect, obviously, with an assassin character. I mean, I'm not a particularly dark, gritty person or drawn to that. So I wasn't comfortable writing a stone cold killer.
Yeah.
And actually, I wasn't particularly comfortable writing these kind of. You get these schizophrenic gaming heroes sometimes that are, in a sense, normal people capable of love and devotion, and then they have no quarrels, just gunning down hundreds of people,
Yes.
no second thought, and it kind of it rings false to me. It feels like you're trying to have things both ways.
Yeah.
So the way I approached him was that, okay, this guy is clearly damaged. They did something to him, and it broke him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have any empathy. And at the time, I think that Dexter was running on TV. And that's where it kind of clicked. Because he's a guy who's a clinical psychopath and a serial killer. He has that dark urge, as they say. But then he had a police officer for a father who taught him a very strict code to live by, because he doesn't know right from wrong himself. And then we went, okay, so what if 47 is kind of like that? They broke him at the Institute. He doesn't have empathy or any of those things, but he knows that he is damaged and he wants to be normal. He doesn't want to be broken.
No.
So what does he do? He latches onto someone who does have, a moral compass. And that becomes Diana. So she becomes his conscience in a way. And that was kind of the but when we had that, it felt like, okay, now we have the engine.
Interesting. It's really interesting hearing how you kind of tapped into that mind. I saw someone in the chat, Arcane, I was the part of the name that I spotted, but they were saying that 47 is only ever as violent as you let him be. Like he isn't necessarily created to be a monster, like you say. And I think that's really interesting.
You can play him like that, right?
Exactly.
But he
that
needs
to be able to do both.
Yeah.
That was the juxtaposition I picked up on.
Yes.
And I think that's really interesting.
There's even a third aspect. I mean, this is going to be all about 47 now. There's a third aspect where it's really hard telling stories about a character who has no, no classical wants or needs.
Yeah.
You can't really do a hero's journey with 47. I think they kind of tried in Absolution, but again, it didn't ring. It didn't feel true. I think. And that's where we had this. I think we called it the outsourcing model,
Yeah.
actually, where we said, okay, this guy is incomplete, and so if he's all mind basically, and then if Diana is his conscience, then we invented Lucas Gray, who was kind of like he's the
Yeah.
heart, right? He went through the same thing as 47 did.
Yeah.
But he was never wiped. He wasn't broken, so he responds to that with PTSD as a normal person would.
Yeah.
And then you had this kind of trinity of
Yeah.
characters who are together a whole person.
Yeah, so
who
it's
had the drive.
interesting
because
because
he in himself does not. Right?
yeah, you can't approach him as you would.
No, he doesn't want things.
Exactly.
He,
That's
he-
really
I mean, he wants to
interesting.
do well, obviously,
Yeah.
but that's you can't really tell a story from that. Right?
No. One thing I'm curious about is there anything that you added into the game, a line or a piece of his backstory, anything that you're particularly proud of, or something you look back on?
Yeah, I guess this was a long time ago, and you do realize it's a 3,000-page script.
Oh
but-
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I always liked that, the final line of Hitman 2016, when the bad guy, the Constant, when he's introduced and he's talking to Diana, as you say, I don't even remember what she says to him, but he's like, we won a long time ago. This is maintenance. And though there was maintenance was a really great word to end
Yeah.
the first season on, because it's so far from the kind of the melodramatic, overblown
Yeah.
stuff that you're used to see in,
Oh,
in
100%.
maintenance. What's that? It's like, it's,
100%. Let's see. Has it changed the way you think about storytelling in any way? Because the way you approach this character sounds quite unique.
Mm.
So has it given you any thought to that?
I mean, I guess in a way where you learn that, okay, there are many ways of telling stories,
Yeah.
but it's not like, that makes me like disregard classical storytelling. I think everything we did in this series is like standing on the shoulders of classical storytelling. I think that's kind of how you approach any game, is that you start with a base that's like screenwriting or outlining for movies or TV, and then once you have done that, when you've done your homework,
Yeah.
then you start going, okay, now I gotta see how I can translate this story into an interactive
Yeah.
space. So it's kind of double up on work, or
Yeah.
there are two crafts involved really, but you can't really disregard classical storytelling, not even in a game like Hitman, because that's the foundation.
Of course. Were there ever any ideas that were just too wild or didn't fit, or anything that you had to discard that you still remember?
Probably. I mean, sure, we had. I don't know about wild. We had locations that we never got.
To
For instance,
explore.
I remember me and Jakob Mikkelsen, we really wanted to do a Zeppelin, like
Oh,
like an
cool.
airship.
Yeah.
But it kept coming back to, it's too small a space. We
Yeah.
can't make a sandbox there, but it would have been so cool with a
Yeah.
floating,
That would have been really cool.
map. But for a very long time, we really wanted to do a murder mystery, and then we finally
Ooh.
were able to do it in Hitman
Yeah.
3 with the second mission.
I like
sort
that.
of. We always wanted to do this like Hercule Poirot homage
Yeah, yeah,
thing,
that's
with,
neat.
or kind of reverse Hercule Poirot in a way, where you
Yeah.
create the murder mystery.
Yeah.
But,
That's fun.
um,
How do you manage to balance the serious tone of Hitman, but also keep it lighthearted in a way, because it has this dark humor that it's known for?
I think it's about there are many layers in that game. You have the main story is pretty serious, and then if you play the mission stories, or all the scripted crafted stuff we did, it's also fairly serious, but there's a lot of dark humor, like
Yeah.
Coen Brothers style dark humor in there. And then as you proceed downwards through the layers, it becomes more and more silly because you mess around with physics and slap people with fish.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of the AI as well have to respond to things that are nuts,
Yeah.
right? So obviously the further you progress down, it becomes that it's just mayhem, right? I think that comes down to the layers really. And also we had this rule that we would never ever admit that anything's funny. It's always
Yeah.
completely straight faced.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
doesn't laugh
No,
when he smacks someone with a fish.
No,
That would be wild. If you could send one message to the players who's been following along for the story, what would you like to tell them?
From the very beginning,
Yeah, let's do from the very beginning.
I guess then I'd say, thank you for being open to the new iteration we did with the World of Assassination. I know it can be kind of a sensitive subject if there's something you really love. If you've been with the franchise from the very beginning, that people come in and they want to change it, and we try to be respectful about it and only change the stuff that we really felt was okay. This is we're gonna disregard this because it's tonally incompatible with what we're trying to do here. But I guess that I'd say thank you for being open-minded about it.
Yeah. And as a last question, that's something I'm wondering myself, but if you could put 47 anywhere, his forward trajectory, what would you wish for him, like as a character? Because you got to know him for a while there, so if you could wish something good for him, what would that be?
Actually, I deliberately didn't answer that question. We wanted them to kind of ride out in the sunset, and keep it very open-ended.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that he did actually eventually get a character arc. It's just it took three seasons of that. I still say seasons. Three releases to get there.
Yeah.
But he did eventually kind of emancipate himself from from Diana's rule, right? That he doesn't have to only follow her blindly, but that he's able to make decisions on his own.
Yeah.
I don't know where he should go from there. I don't even want to know.
No, I like that. His future is his own to make,
Yeah, that's kind of that was kind of the ending.
Yeah. I think that's all we have time for.
Okay.
So thank you so much for coming in. I will go back on a Be Right Back screen because we have another guest waiting. So we will be back in 2 minutes.
Nice. I'm not Katrine. I'm Gabe, and I'm back. But I do have another guest. You want to start by introducing yourself?
Sure. I'm Eskil. Been at IO since 2011.
No.
Came in like with a year left for Absolution. Got hired as an AI dialogue consultant back then, which was weird. I actually have a background in visual design, so I had no prior experiences to the dialogue, but I had played a lot of games. And so during that year, I sort of built the AI dialogue system in the game. So all the barks that you hear when systemic stuff is going on is sort of what I tried to plan out with a great coder back then called Ulf, and that brought over to WoA, World of Assassination, where I sort of kept doing that, but I also did a lot of gameplay designs for the game.
Nice. So you talked a little bit about what you've done, but what roles, like from all the way back in 2011, what roles have you held kind of from then to now, and
Well,
what
it
have you
was
been working on?
AI dialogue consultant, which also meant directing the dialogue and doing a lot of game design for 216, and then I helped direct Hitman 2 with Jakob Mikkelsen. I was the associate director on that one, and some of those earlier missions just before Patient Zero and stuff like that. And then after Hitman 2, we actually went on to do the first iteration of the Hitman in VR. So I helped sort of spearhead that, and got a little time on the PC VR back then. And then a little bit on as design on Bond is the name, and I was also affiliated a little bit with the fantasy project about the dialogue. And lately I've been working on PSVR 2, PCVR, and right now I'm looking into the co-op stuff.
They're gonna go crazy about co-op. I'm just warning you.
Oh,
Everybody's asking about co-op. We don't have any news about co-op. He is
It's gonna be
He is
awesome!
Mr. Co-op, but we don't have anything right now. But you did mention VR, and I think VR is a really interesting kind of leap that Hitman did. So like when you want to go into like a new platform like VR, where does that even start? Like where does the idea to like, hey, we should do this in VR, we should try it out and see how it feels?
Well, honestly, it came from I was over at Oliver Winding, who is the main writer on Hitman, who also got me hired back in the day. I was at his place, and he had the first PSVR 1 headset set up, and I had never really tried it, and I was blown away. So I immediately bought that headset for my PlayStation 4 and brought it to work and set up like a space and wanted people
Little
to
bit of a space so you don't bump into people.
Well, no, but just down in the lobby, and Hakan came by, and I was like, Hakan, you gotta try this, and he immediately was blown away as well. And then not long after that, suddenly he was like, okay, let's do Hitman in VR, which is sort of a tall order. We had two huge games out there at that time, and he wanted everything in there. So we worked on that, and then bit of a pause, and then because we were doing it with we didn't have the time to get ambidexterity in there, so it's sort of very limited. But you know, we and a lot of button presses for interactions and stuff like that. So I personally really wanted to see if we can, you know, get the full shebang in there. So suddenly when we were allowed to make PSVR 2, we had the chance, and we had a little team, and we've been working hard on that.
Yeah, I think it's if you look back a little like almost like a retrospective VR kind of like I had a little bit of a roller coaster in terms of like how
It still does.
But I think we've come very far with PSVR 2 and now PC VR, and I think as someone who has worked on all these iterations and kind of spearheaded it from the start, what would you say are kind of the big challenges of this platform itself, but also the opportunities that it actually gives and brings to like a Hitman game.
I mean, it's a port from a 2D game, right? Everything is button presses. Everything is animation driven. Like the hero is driven through animation. You go over somewhere and you press a button. And naturally, what we wanted to do was to see how much we could do this with intuitive gestures. So you would touch stuff and you would punch people and you would manually reload, which was like none of the weapons were really built for this. So there's a lot of digging deep into the mechanics and trying to get them to work in a somewhat reasonable way. But then it's such a big game, and we have so many unique set pieces. So it was just a lot of plowing through, and then eventually being all right. This is good enough. We need to cover these other areas as well. But honestly, I think we're quite happy to where we ended up.
What is your? I know like the manual reload is quite fun to do because it feels very like interactive. If you had to pick like one interaction that you get in VR that maybe you don't feel in the same way when you play like with a normal controller or non VR version,
Well,
what stands out to you as like the fun interaction to do?
Well, we had you can do a choke out in the manual game, or in the 2D version of the game, and we need to find a way to do that in VR, and and we got this sort of choking mechanic where his hands sort of go into this evil choky pose, and then you can shake the NPC for a faster takedown, which is a little nod to Homer Simpson
rattle their brain,
kind of
rattle their brain a little bit.
strangling Bart sort of thing. That really worked. And then something that I was super happy to see was Toge, who I believe was on here prior. He made all the keys and the lock picks and the key cards work. So instead of again pushing a button and seeing an animation, you actually go in and you turn the key and you put it in the lock, which was something I was super happy to see and thought people would get extremely excited about. And nobody really did. But I guess that's just a testament of how intuitive it is, because I just see people just turning the keys and it just works. So I guess that's good.
That's we've talked to a few devs kind of around the studio about this like idea of like an intuitive feel where like if you've designed something and someone just automatically does it, you've designed something right.
Exactly.
And maybe it doesn't need to stand out every single time, but I like this idea of just you have this like manual motion that you need to do for the shaking of the head.
I think that kind of works, and if you get good at it, you can also sort of grab the NPC when they fall down, and also I think taking their disguises is something that we were quite happy about, because you do that by basically ripping off their clothes, which is kind of funny, but also works really well.
No, I like I feel like Hitman, when you look at the kind of the game as just this like sandbox of like you can do infinite things, and then also putting that into like how creative people can be with VR and just picking up weapons and throwing them around and all the different items in the game. Is there any item that you are like particularly like this interaction felt awesome? Like we have this, maybe it's the fiber wire, or if it's like even just a melee weapon or anything like that.
I think one thing that Hartvig, our coder who came in a little late, he used to be at IO before, and then he was out for a while, and then he came back, and that was that we could free throw now, where you still have the reticle if you want a precision throw, but right now what he managed to do was use the eye tracking, so when you look at a certain NPC in the game, it will log onto them, and then you can just do this throwing motion, which makes you way more lethal, and you can also contain situations way better because it can be sort of finicky in the flat game. And in terms of items, I don't know, I always like the blonde items, and the ones I kind of like the brick, I guess, because it's
simple.
It's simple, and it's sort of it just it destroys on impact. So
That has
there's
that
something
satisfying
there.
like poof.
Exactly.
If if the franchise kind of, if you look back on like where Hitman, I guess, could go in terms of like platform, is there anything that really stands out to you that like excites you, like what the game is capable of doing? Even if you think shoot to the moon, some random idea that you've had that maybe even in the past like we couldn't make happen, but is there anything like that that stands out to you where Hitman as a game kind of represents this craziness, but also like controlled craziness?
Well, I have to say, without spoiling too much, that what we're working on currently uh, with the co-op edition of the game is looking extremely promising. It is still early days. I'm not gonna deny that, but having it, up and running and being two people making plans, seeing things spiral out of control, but also you having the possibility to sort of, because you're two, to get it back and
Yeah.
contain the situation, and especially having NPCs suddenly not always targeting you, but maybe seeing them from a different angle where they're targeting the other player, and you can sneak up. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
We did get co-op. Chat's happy. We got a little bit of it out there, but we'll have more news on co-op. We do have some questions because we have a little bit of time left. Speed running is an interesting topic.
For co-op as well, I guess.
Yeah, but I think in general, just like speed running for Hitman is such a unique thing because there's so many things you can do
I
to
know,
like
it's
beat the level.
crazy.
When you look at, so this is a question from Nye Abbey Superfan. How do you feel about speedrunners being able to beat certain maps in a matter of seconds? They use many tricks that are like, they go out of bounds and kind of break the game essentially. But how does, as a designer and like someone who's worked on the game, how does that make you feel?
I remember we had just worked on, I think it was a Dubai level. It took us like 2 years to get it complete, and somebody beat it in like 5 seconds. But honestly, I think it's amazing because it's a testament of the ingenuity of the players, but also that they feel that, all right, this game can actually it is a puzzle in many ways, and sometimes it's a bug we have, or it's that will create certain possibilities. Sometimes we have to reel that in, and we always get a lot of hate from people like, no, don't take this out. And sometimes we then put it back in. We had a suitcase that became the homing suitcase because it was simply too good to
Yeah.
leave out.
You gotta have some
So
of
I
those.
I absolutely love it, and I think it's so amazing to see the way that people put the little pieces together. Also because I think they it's a game where you play it and then you stop and then you sit in the train and you can't help thinking like, maybe I can do this and maybe I can do that, and
The possibilities never end.
no, no,
One final question
sure.
before we wrap this up. You like to say anything to like the fans that have followed Agent 47 throughout the years, both the flat version as well as the VR version. What message would you send to them?
I'm honestly super grateful, and it really warms my heart when, especially when I read the comments, and because I was playing, I really wanted Freelancer out for VR. It was sort of it was my own sort of, I just want to play Freelancer in VR. I just like, then I'm happy. And then when I see people sort of having tried it and having sort of this reflecting some of my feelings when I'm sitting with it, it's like, oh, okay, this was tense, and I can see that they believe the same or have felt the same. Then I'm super grateful and super happy.
Awesome.
So
Well,
thank you.
perfect. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We'll go to a Be Right Back screen because next up we have Mood, who's going to talk a little bit about the board game. See you around.
See you.
All right, we're back, and we are joined by two guests. They're not in the studio, but they're actually here remotely with us. Can you guys introduce yourselves?
Hello, I'm Jacob. I am from Mood Publishing. I'm art director at Mood Publishing, and I'm super happy to be here with you guys.
Hi, and I'm Ole Steines. I'm an independent board game designer. I used to be a video game designer, but I've worked closely with Mood for the past many years, doing some awesome board games. So I'm super happy to be here as well.
Nice. Well, we're of course, as already mentioned, we're talking a little bit about the upcoming Hitman board game. But we start off with, can you give us a little bit of a background on who Mood is and the history of Mood and where you've been and kind of where you're going?
Of course. So Mood Publishing is a board game development studio. And we started around 2019, I think, did some cinematic novels. And then we moved into board games from there. Around 2020, we started collaboration with Ghost Ship Games on their really popular IP, Deep Rock Galactic. So we made a board game adaptation based on their video game, also with Ole, who helped out on that one. After that, we continued working on Deep Rock Galactic. We did some expansions to that. We've done Valheim, the video game, and adaptation into board game form on that recently, which is available to the public very, very soon. And we've also done Goat Simulator, the card game. We've
As you
done
do.
a Kickstarter campaign. Yeah, exactly. Really interesting one, that one. But yeah, and of course now we're working on Hitman.
You have. I'm sorry. I'm deviating from what we prepped a little bit because you have a collection behind you there on your shelves. What is your all time? If you had to just go back into your shelves behind you and you had to pick out the game that you're like, this is a board game to me. What are you grabbing off the shelves?
Are you talking about me?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's
It's a
I think
hard
actually.
loaded question.
Yeah, it is. It is. What is a board game? I mean, I grew up with a Monopoly and Risk and all those things as other kids back in the 80s and 90s. But to me now, it's I really like stuff like the thematic stuff, like Deep Rock Galactic. Honestly, that I did together with Mood is one of my favorite games because I really like these hard thematic joyous games that are like mid-level fun, right? Also like Champions of Midgard and some of these Blood Rage, anything very thematic and action oriented is a good board game for me. But there's so many, luckily.
You talk about themes a little bit. When you take like I guess an IP like Hitman, how do you actually start? What is the process of adapting like a franchise has been around for 25 years into a board game suddenly? Like where do you start with that?
From my side, I think, I mean, obviously, Ole, you have a bunch of thoughts into the game design and how that flows. I think from a really broad sense, it's about boiling down the essence, sort of the core pillars of the video game into a format that works for board games, right? I think board games is, even though it's a game, it can be such a different way you experience certain story moments, certain mechanics, certain gameplay situations, right? And you're trying to translate things from one language to another while keeping the essence the same, right? So that's the main thing, is identify the core pillars of what is this game, what makes it fun, and try to recreate that same feeling in the board game.
Yeah, and it's also always a question of sorting through all the great ideas and everything that's so great about the video game, and pick out what elements are fun to translate. What direction do we want to take this? What should be the focus? I mean, is it even a real-time game, or is it turn-based, or what fits with the style and the experience of the video game? Because we can include everything and we can translate it one-on-one, but we can translate it and keep the fun and feeling of the original game. At least it's a tried and true formula now, together with Mood, with the previous games we've done, even though it's a different style of this game, of course.
What are some of the game experiences, or maybe like the Hitman community that you're really taking into account to like bring into the game? If you can share like one thing that like really stands out to you when it comes, if you hear Hitman, right, and you're like, oh, Hitman board game. What is that like first thing that pops into your head that needs to go into the board game experience?
To me, it's planning. And then we introduced in the board game that you have to adapt to when that planning fails, because you're not the only hitman around. But that's the thing, right? Also in the computer game, how often are you not trying an elaborate plan and then it doesn't work and you have to draw out your guns or run into a basement or whatever? So that adaptation and adapting your plan and changing your plan to get out of there alive and with a target that's down, that's Hitman to me.
For me, it's a lot about the creativity and being able to, and it actually overlaps a little bit with the being adaptable, but you seeing your sort of a path ahead of you, and you can take that path in many different ways, right? Such a core part of Hitman, and I think something that is also really important to bring in the in the board game. Sorry, that being creative, trying to do your own sort of little thing, and next time you play, it's going to be a different way you approach it, right?
Yeah, I mean, a creative approach is definitely one of the key pillars, right? Like you've talked about that, like you got to go in with a plan, right? But plans rarely ever play out exactly as that plan is in your head, and you might run into
Hmm.
some random, this AI is doing something like this, or you've suddenly been discovered. So how do you bring, I guess, that feeling into a board game? Because right, like I feel like board games a lot of time, and I've spent a lot of time playing tabletop games myself. So you have this element of like you have a physical piece on the table in front of you, but there's also like the imagination that you need to kind of picture in your head of like what these pieces are doing on the board. So how do you take the creative approach where when you have that in a game, it's much more clear, right? Like it's on screen, you're almost like you're watching it happen. But in a board game situation, you gotta picture it a little bit more, but also all the different set pieces that are available. How do you translate that kind of creative approach into a game experience on a tabletop?
I think there are two very important aspects to this, and one is the gameplay, which I'm kind of in charge of, but then there's certainly also the visual side, which Jakob can talk a lot about. But it's about, like Jakob said, it's about looking at the board and recognize the structures and coming up with a plan, and then carry out your plan. In our case, it's with cards, and as you plan it and play it out, there will be opposition from the board itself, from the game itself, and of course from the other players who's trying to beat you to the target. So we wanted you to like feel smart when your plan carries out, when it goes as planned, and also have fun when it doesn't, and something odd and crazy happens, and it sets you maybe a bit back, but not in a crazy amount. There's no game over in the board game for any of the players. So, but on the art side, I think that's more Jakob's side.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe not so much art, but also like it. What's interesting is what you're also talking about, Gabriel. The how do you take something like an AI that is like coded and can react to, like, let's say 10 or 20 different scenarios, and you try to boil that down into an experience without it becoming like D&D session where you need a dungeon master to read through a giant book, right? That's not always what you want in a sort of a simplified board game. So I think on the art side, obviously it's also about what you don't have is the three-dimensionality and the time aspect of a video game, right? Where time runs naturally, and you have a very clear 3D space that you need to abstract down into a flat board, into like different areas on the table. Something that's really important to us is the table presence of a board game. When you walk past the table and you see someone playing Hitman, the board game, you want to immediately see that that's Hitman. You want to feel that that's Hitman, and it just needs to look really engaging and really sort of interesting, but also organized, right? It can't be so messy that you have too much information going on at all times, right?
It's the most like planned, unplanned experience at the same time. You plan as much as you want, but you also have to plan
Yeah.
for the chaotic part that happens. We only have the time for probably like one more question, but I want to maybe just give you an open floor as like how if there's any message you want to send to like the board, both the tabletop community, but as well as the Hitman community about this game and the experience that you're building, what would that be?
From my side, it's I mean, obviously there's so much more to talk about the game, and we're really excited to be able to show more as well instead of just talking about it. For anyone who's really interested in it, you can go to Kickstarter.com. You can even search Hitman in there; it'll pop up. You can probably follow some of the links around, but go follow the page on Kickstarter because there will be a ton of more updates, a ton of visual stuff whenever we make our games. It's a deep collaboration between us, who's really excited, and then the fans bringing their own sort of ideas and take and comments and feedback live as it happens, right? So we're very adaptable, and we'd love for people to join that journey on Kickstarter.
Yeah, and we managed to make a fun social experience, right? If Hitman is mainly a single player experience on the video game front, but we made pretty sure that you can laugh and have fun at the table here, and we're in a very replayable game. So we are very excited to go and bring this to the community as soon as we can.
Nice. I like the idea of making a game laugh. We just had Michael on before about how just there's so many funny moments that happen in the game, but you never actually see laughter in the game. So it's funny to have this, like, obviously the very social aspect. But thank you very much for your time. We'll bounce off to the next segment, but as mentioned, if you head over to Kickstarter, look up Hitman board game, you'll find everything. Make sure you follow the page. But I'm sure we'll be back soon with some more information and another chat at some point. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
We have another person on stream.
Yeah.
We have another two people on stream. How
Who could they be?
let's do some introduction. We'll start with Jane, who is joining us remotely from the UK. Who are you? And what do you do?
What are you doing here?
What am I doing? I don't know. Who am I? My name is Jane Perry, and I play Diana Burnwood in Hitman, World of Assassination.
Awesome.
I knew that.
Perfect. And who are you?
Yes, who am I? I've been asking that self all my life. David Bateson, and I play Agent 47. And Diana Burnwood is my boss. Thank you.
How do you feel about this?
I feel very good about it, actually. Jane could boss me around anywhere she likes.
Yes. And I try to do so as much as possible.
Yep, yeah, she does.
You want to lead into the first question?
Sure. I would love to travel back in time a little bit, because this is all about looking back and celebrating the 25 years we've all gotten to enjoy this franchise.
Yeah.
So how did you each end up getting your roles in the franchise? You as 47, and Jane as Diana.
Should I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Obviously, Jane's heard this 1,000 times before. She's good. I was in an arena, and it was a fight to the death with 3,000 other candidates.
Yes.
And
I
won.
believe I've heard about it.
Yes. If you believe that, you believe anything. No, you know, you do, as a voice artist, have to really be focused and go up to lots of auditions and and thinking, oh, I'm so right for this role, and so on and so forth. But on this occasion, I apologize. I was just in the right place at the right time. I was doing a voiceover in a studio. The studio was making the graphics for the first game, and someone came into the box booth and said, "Sorry to interrupt. Listen, could you have a look at this, the visuals, the graphics of this game? We need a voice." And then I went in, and I knew, I found out obviously afterwards that IO were obviously looking all over the place for a voice. But being in the studio, I managed to, just look at the graphics and went, shit, he even looks like me. And then I just made a guess at it, how I thought it should be done.
Nice. Guess seems to have landed correctly, at least.
Yeah. So weird, just because of the graphics. Yeah, I mean, there's reasons behind it. It was all very sort of Japanese, long, sort of cartoon film, very kind of 39. Is it the 39 Steps, or is the other one? The film from Vienna.
Oh, that I don't know.
Long shadows. And, anyway, it was just my taste, and my favorite movie is Blade Runner.
Oh.
So it had a Blade Runner feel to it. So I just did it in a kind of a Philip Marlowe voice, and thought, that's it. That's what I think it should be done.
Nice.
Which is what you have to do as a voice artist. You just have to, go with your instinct and live and die on your sword. And I did.
How so then, from your perspective, Jane, how is that introduction to the character, and how did you land this role?
Well, I was asked to be in-game tutorial, which I think was for Absolution, and I had a great time doing that, and it was super fun. And then one day, Michael, who we met earlier, who was the writer at that time for Hitman, said, "Look, we want to have a new take on Diana. Would you be interested in playing the role? Because actually the fans really liked your voice for the in-game tutorial, and we think you'd be a great fit for this character." And I was like, well, okay, yes, okay, I would love to do that. I was a little bit nervous because, as I've said before in interviews, Diana obviously has a British accent, and I was a bit like, oh gosh, I hope I can do that and do it well. But they're like, no, it's great, just do it. So I did, and the rest is history. And I'm so glad that this opportunity came my way, because I just absolutely adore playing Diana. She's one of my favorites. I've done a lot of games over the past sort of, I don't know, 12, 15 years, and Diana is, really one of the highlights.
Yeah, you talk about like the history of it there, but like these characters have been around for like 25 years now. It's the 25th anniversary, which we were talking about before. Is like, it's weird to say, oh, this game has been around for a quarter of a century, and put that into perspective. Like, what is it like for you to be kind of connected to these characters that have such a long history and kind of mean so much to so many different people? I don't know who wants to go first.
Well, I'll just mention this. Jane and I, we travel quite a bit now to Comic Cons, Hero Cons, and the like, and it is a deeply satisfying experience. But it's also very humbling because we meet fans who are dedicated fans, who are very dedicated, and it's humbling because you see that they have spent their childhood. It's like if you see a film that's 1.5 hour film, they spent like hundreds of hours in our company. So it is. I can understand, Jane, why you felt that. I'm stepping into some big shoes here because there is a kind of a responsibility, but there's also just the humility of is quite overwhelming. Meeting such dedicated fans over such a long time.
Does it make you feel old, David?
Yes.
25?
Yes, it did. And I'm only 26 because I started when I was 1. Yeah, so
You're gifted with a good voice.
I was just from my hair fell out straight away.
Except for the roll, and it just
Yes. But so it is. That's all I have to say, really. All yours, sunshine.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a real gift to have a character that you can get to know over the course of many, many years. And it's not always the case in games. There's certainly the ones I've been in. And so I feel like I really know Diana quite well, and the relationship between her and Agent 47 has become so interesting to me and so fascinating. And it's over the years it's been allowed to evolve and change and shift, and this is a real pleasure. It's like having your intimate friendships. You just know these people.
Yeah.
Even though it might be 6 months, between seeing somebody, you just, as soon as you see them again, you pick right up where you left off. And there's that kind of familiarity, I think, well, I won't speak for you, David. Well, I will, because why
No,
not?
because you're my boss.
I think there's this familiarity for both of us with this game of being able to revisit these characters that we are so fond of and have gotten to know so well over the years.
It does make me think when you say that the characters have evolved and their relationship have evolved. In your perspective, how does that how does that express itself when you do these characters? How have they evolved to you?
Well, I think there's a sense of we talk about sort of Diana being the Agent 47's moral compass. And I think there's this sort of burgeoning sense of him becoming ever so slightly more human, developing his own sort of moral compass and thoughts and ideas about things, to the point where sometimes I'm like, is he with me here? But generally, yes. But I think it's just it's just deepening, and I've got sort of questions about this relationship, and I like that it's nothing is sort of a foregone conclusion about what's going on between them.
That's very true. I think people may want to conclude or bring the relationship into another level, but I felt that it's matured, and yeah, you being my moral compass, because I'm kind of without it. I'm just kidding. I kill people. That's what I do. And now I go to sleep, and I'll kill more tomorrow. But it's lovely when you leave off a mission with "I'll leave you to prepare," or there's so much in the way that you round up your storyline to me, which is unspoken sense of, oh, do take care, try and not kill too many people.
Rein it in a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, just,
don't do too
just
much.
go for the silent assassin, if you wouldn't mind, because we're running out of coffins. No, but it is definitely matured, and I love it. I absolutely adore it, because we've got to know each other so well over the years now, and that is reflected in the scripts, I think, as the way they're written. But there is still this lovely professional distance between us. Although I did particularly enjoy when we were working together in the field in South America, which was a whole new experience, where Diana was actually standing next to me while we were killing people together.
Yeah.
So romantic.
There's a little bit of a grain of salt given, the game is called Hitman, and the subject of the game is often taking characters out. But if you kind of look at how
Yep.
the characters, kind of their emotions evolved, or lack of emotions, or the way they interact with the world,
Yeah.
have they taught you anything as a result? Like, have you actually taken something from Diana, from 47, in any way, in any aspect of life?
I know how to kill people from a distance, and I'm up real close, and using everything from gravity to, yeah. No, it is very shortly. It's just I recognize something about Agent 47, which reminded me of my life as a child, but when I moved around a lot, and therefore I was always on the outside looking in, and that sort of aloneness, not lonely. He doesn't know what lonely is, but he is alone and wondering, maybe I shouldn't have. Oh, I've done it now. So not that I wanted to kill people. I don't know. The jury's out on that question. But no, just standing on the outside looking in, I really related to that with Agent 47. So he feels extremely close to me in that bizarre way. I wouldn't like to. I'd love to have a beer with him and play pool, but it might be awkward saying, "How was your day, Agent 47?" Oh no, I want to ask him. Because bad things happen.
Yes, around him.
Mm-hmm.
What about from your perspective, Jane? Have you taken anything out of Diana?
That's such a good question. I mean, what I love about Diana is her extreme intelligence. She's got such rigorous intellect. She's so organized. She's very elegant. She's got this sort of wonderful sense of humor. And I must say, I wish that I could take on all of those qualities. I don't necessarily feel that I've got what Diana has, but she is definitely a character that I very much look up to, and one of the things I really love about Diana is this, and Agent 47 is the intimacy of their relationship, which is platonic. Like it's not romantic, but they're so close to each other, and I think there's something about a deep sort of like a friendship and a professional sort of relationship that I really admire. Now, have I taken that on in my real life too? I mean, I do have some great friends, but none of them are hitmen. We'll see what happens in the future.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's always an interesting question, what we take away from the characters that we play. And I think that this character really lives in the realm of, she is different from me. And I don't know that I've integrated Diana into my day-to-day life, but I sure wish I did and could. It's kind of great.
I think I asked Michael this as well earlier, but if you were to imagine a future for these characters, where would you want for them to continue onwards to?
Whoa. I think they should go into business together. Move to a tropical island. I'll start up a surf school, and you can run a really nice
Wouldn't that be an adventure?
wellness resort, where people actually get to live and feel better rather than killing each other. But,
Wow.
yeah, something like
Just a complete swap.
Yeah, no, exactly. Just a kind of
the Hitman vacation experience, but an actual vacation.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of players say that Hitman finally needs that vacation. Maybe that's maybe that's what's in the cards for him. A vacation.
He needs a good vacation. Yeah.
Sure.
Although I remember, sorry, Jen, I was just thinking, when we had our last conversation in the end of Hitman 3, and I'm out in the woods there in that log cabin, I'm talking on a satellite phone, that really did feel like, and you go, how are you? I'm good. I'm good. It's good to be back. It just had a really nice feeling of, coffee.
Yeah. For sure. And, I love the idea of Diana being a bit more active in the field maybe the tables could turn and Agent 47 could be like, Diana, this is your mission.
I've got a headache. You do this one.
We gotta reverse the lines. We always get the good afternoon 47. Now it's gotta be good afternoon, Dan.
Yeah.
I'd
Listen,
like that. But I have to say, I played Hitman for the first time a couple of weeks ago on Anna Dimitriou's Twitch channel,
Yeah.
which was so much fun. But I was so bad at it. I
Oh, yeah.
basically shot everybody, made a huge mess, and I just couldn't. I kept shooting people in the kneecaps.
Well, that's an approach.
yes.
Yeah,
more
I would
coffee.
say it didn't work very well. So maybe it's not a good idea. But yeah, they're such a great team, and I think it's so delightful to see them both occupying the same space together. It's really sort of wonderful for us to play.
Yeah.
I think we have one more question before we have plenty of requests, and there will be a please say the most iconic line for you. But I'm curious. We talked a little bit about vacation. I think this is a fun question. If you had to do a weekend getaway with 47 or Diana, who are you picking?
Say that again.
If you have a weekend getaway, you're going away. You have to pick 47 or Diana. Who are you taking on a weekend vacation?
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think Diana will be more fun to take with as a friend, because the conversation might be a bit monosyllabic with Agent 47. So, what do you do on the weekends, Agent 47? Polish my silver ballers. I don't know, but as I say, I'm so close to Agent 47 that he feels like my best friend. So I would like to go and hang out with him somewhere else. Take long shots at people, just for a laugh.
Yeah, as you do.
Yeah.
What about you, Jane? Who are you picking?
I think I picked Diana because she's so organized that she could just, book everything.
You see?
The whole itinerary.
Perfect.
The whole itinerary. Maybe get a private jet or helicopter or something, because she's very well connected.
Yeah.
So, I think I would go with Diana.
Perfect. Before we wrap this up, though,
Yeah.
There's so many requests in chat for just a line. Can you also, from your own perspective, what do you think is your character's most iconic line, and can you deliver it in the best way you can?
Sure. I have my personal favorite, and then after we did the Dublin one, Comic Con, I fell in love with another one.
Okay.
So my first one is, names are for friends, so I don't need one. Which says it all for me in my childhood. But the other one, which I find so adorable, is your future is death. Any questions? It's just,
That is adorable.
isn't it? That's
adorably horrifying.
Yeah, it's just like, it's not gonna end well. I haven't got much time.
Yes. Just last, real quick, Jane, can you give us your outline?
I think it would have to be, well, I got to, good afternoon, Agent 47. Your target is the 25th anniversary of Hitman.
That's so good.
And then the last one, of course, is, I shall leave you to prepare.
Oh,
so good.
It's
priceless.
so crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you very much,
cool.
both
Thank
of
you,
you.
both
I
of
hope
you.
I hope the chat and the community enjoyed that, but it was amazing talking to you both.
It was.
Our total pleasure.
Appreciate your time so much.
Pleasure.
I'm
Great.
sure
to
we will
chat.
talk again soon.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great.
And so great to celebrate this momentous moment in Hitman's life.
A historic moment.
Awesome. We'll be right back, stream, and we'll see you in a bit. Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, now it's
Yay!
like proper celebration time.
Okay.
Pull it. Ugh.
I shot it at the
Yeah.
camera.
Woo! A few of these. Oh my god, that's so loud.
Okay, one more.
Dude,
There you
there we
go.
go. Little bit of a
Woo!
celebration, 25th
That smells
anniversary.
great.
We all want David again. It would be amazing to have them meet. I feel like we could just chat with them for like hours, just about everything.
Yeah,
It's
it was
such a
so
good,
cool.
it's such a good conversation.
And just chills
Yeah. Well,
to
the
hearing
line
their
delivery.
voices and their lines.
Yeah, that was amazing. So, but we had a lot of guests. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, time
We
went
had-
so fast.
We,
I
we
feel
said
like.
that pretty much after every single interview. We're like,
Yeah.
that was so fast. Like we
Yes.
covered that so quickly. We hope you all enjoyed that. As a reminder, the 25th anniversary box is available. Comes with the shadow box as well as the thing I can't remember the name of
Yes.
because my brain is toast. But yeah,
You did that so well.
no, it was close. I saw the left one like wobble a little bit, and it could have just humbled. But yeah, I think I can say from us both, thank you very much for tuning in.
Look at Rick.
Oh yeah, lenticular card.
Yeah,
There you go. That's what it
Someone
is.
knows.
There you
Good
go.
on you, Rick.
But yeah, thank you very much for everybody to tune in. Thank you for joining the stream. It was fun. It's
course.
been a
I
while
always-
since you've been
yeah.
on the stream too.
It's been so much fun coming back in here and seeing all the people out in the chat and getting to interact with you. It's nice getting a brief look at who's out there on the other side of the screen. I think that's nice.
Yeah, other than that, thank you all for tuning in. Happy 25th anniversary.
Happy
to Hitman.
anniversary.
I would pop more, but we ran out because we kind of just shot them all out immediately.
Actually, yeah.
But yeah, we'll be back with some more streams soon, so keep your eyes peeled. And other than that, we'll see you next time.
Bye.